The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good afternoon, traders. Happy Wednesday. It's good to see everybody. A lot of familiar faces. Sorry, I'm just kind of getting everything dialed in on my screen. Howdy, Bob. Good to see you. Hi, LK. Hi, everyone else. Welcome to the Tradespoon Live Trading Room Stocks and Options Closing Bell. My name is Scott. I'll be your host. If you're new, say hello. If you have never one time, if you've come into my sessions with me and you've never said hello, today is your day. Today is the day that you're like, hey, how you doing? I'll be like, yes, it's nice to hear from you. I'm just saying, give it a shot. Try something new. Hello, Randall. Good to see you. All right. Again, my name is I know. Hello, Martine. Good to see you. All right. You guys know I like interacting more than I like feeling like I'm talking at you. I want to be talking with you. As I said, head trading coach. I've been trading for over 20 years. I've been teaching for going on almost 20 years. Need to remind you that trading's risky. Here's the disclosures. Tells you all about it. Hello, Brad. Good to see you. Love it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys bringing me some energy this afternoon. We're all just trying to get through the hump, right? Trying to get through Wednesday. Get to the downside. Market's interesting. Yeah. I gotta tell you, I was like feeling like, oh, it's, I got some things bullish, breaking out, pulled back, some higher lows. And then all of a sudden I was like, yesterday, let me know if anyone saw something like this. But I looked at the VIX and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing could be setting up a higher low. I really had to kind of force myself to look around for the other side of what I was thinking. And I'm like, wait a second, let's dive into it. I'm going to jump straight to that because it's failed. It failed. I'm not saying that I'm like, oh, the VIX is going to, I'm not a panicker. But let's take a look at it. This is what we saw. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, the VIX has been so strong. Look at it. It escalated, but never really escalated too bad. And then all of a sudden we had this tweezer hold candle pattern, invalidated the next day, and then it just was all the way. And when we say all the way, like I mean like all the way back down, almost to the lowest lows. And then the VIX gets a little bit, and it wasn't bad. Turns over. Everything is looking pretty good. And then all of a sudden I stopped and I'm like, wait a second. We've made a new low. And here we are. Now, in order for it to have been a higher low, it's not just the bodies. It would have had to have maybe not necessarily all the way up here, but probably pretty close. Something like that yesterday. That would have been like, that's a higher low. That is another escalation, right? Very similar to other ones. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch for that. And it was interesting the way that it's set up around our first chunk of inflationary data as we get to this last week prior to the Fed, right? Fed meeting is next week. And we're just sitting in this, kind of watch and wait and see zone. So I was thinking, yeah, that's concerning. What would it have taken if it would have done something like this? And I don't know if I would have needed it to come all the way up here, but maybe pretty close. If that's what we saw today, I'd have been like, yes, whatever bullish trades I had, I'm probably taking some profits. I'm probably tightening stops. And I would be hedging 5% out of the money, 5 weeks out in time. Bob says just a little bit of noise. I agree. I agree. That was just a hiccup. That was the other side of the coin for me. Now, but I did feel like it was kind of a little bit of a fork in the road, so to speak. We seem to be taking the bullish path. This would have been the bearish path. But that's not what we saw, right? It's not what we saw. So let us advance to today. What did we see? We saw this engulfing. This continuation of the crossing signal. We turned over, crossing down. This thing is still, I would say, that's the trajectory now. It got there like this, but that's essentially where we are. So I'm still looking at this as before, right? Like, okay, we're fine still. We're fine. Am I still open to changing my mind? Well, there's my low. Oh, that was freehand. Look at that line. Magnificent. And here we are, even today. Now I'm going bodies, but I do look at the shadows. But if tomorrow the market has just a very small pullback day and we have like a little doji, you know what? Give myself a little extra room here. Same lines, you can just imagine them. If tomorrow we get like a doji candle inside day because the market pauses, this thing probably will come down a little bit more, and then all of a sudden, what day is tomorrow? What day is today? Today's Wednesday, Thursday. Then on Friday, we have a little pop like this, and this thing turns. That's still the same thing. That's still a higher low. I'm still gonna put a hedge on, right? And what we'll notice if we get to that point, all these bullish things that we've been seeing, some of them are starting to already turn over. I've already taken some profit on some bullish trades and closed some bullish trades. Some things I'm still looking at like, ooh, this could be good. Right? So if we expect that today is the other side of the coin, which is increased bullishness, that what should happen next? I'm going to go blue to finish this explanation. What should happen next is tomorrow we should come down, and then the next day, and then the next day, and we should get below 13, and that is going to be where when our bullish trades are working, things look pretty good. I don't see it being anything. It's one or the other. I still think that. As of now, I'm leaning more towards blue. But if I'm leaning more towards blue, and then tomorrow I get that pullback day, and I get that doji, and then on Friday the other way, I'm going to be very quick to shut down any new bullish trades. I'm not going to carry it through the weekend on that type of a signal. Okay, that's how I see it. Let me know if you see it different. At the end of the day, I'm more bullish than I was. I'm in a solidly bullish position. Not a lot, but my market posture has increased. But I recognize Bob's bringing up a good point. He's saying, I think the seasonal. That's exactly what I was going to talk about here in just a minute. Is the last 2 weeks of September, we have a tendency to just have this drop. Just pulls it out. Okay, we're jumping around a little bit. Let me go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. What's going on? We'll get to the quiz. Don't get impatient on me. Markets are pretty flat. We were bullish. We gave it back, and we've given it back here towards the end of the day. We'll see by how much, right? The VIX is not too concerned. We'll see that. But we were bullish, and then we sold off, and then we got bullish again. And then here at the end of the day, what's happening? End of day, selling off into the close. Russell really not doing well. So small caps are struggling, which is going to be a down 0.8%. NASDAQ is just average. So just struggling, fighting, hanging on, 0.03. The Dow's got negative 0.38. The S&P not as much, 0.12. All right. Okay, so clearly the market's a little iffy on the news. Economists still think the Fed is going to just look past that. We're 6 hours, 20 or 6 days, 22 hours away. And as of now, we ticked up for a minute up to 97. Let's see if that's where we're still sitting. 97% stays the same, 3% probability that it increases. Okay. Really not much there. Stocks rises, CPI data comes in hot. I don't have the exact numbers. It's always so slow to load Market Watch. They're like, you've reached your limit, pay us. I'm like, I'm not going to pay you because the services aren't that good. They're barely good enough free. That's what I would say. Take that to heart. I don't think it was a negative. I think one negative surprise. Oh, it's there now. Sorry, my bad. I was going to say, okay, two negative surprises. So CPI came back as expected. Core CPI, one tick higher than expected. Year over year, CPI came back one tick higher than expected, which was already anticipated to be higher than its previous reading. Core CPI year over year came back as expected, which was better than its previous reading. So, yeah, it was about as expected. If anything, slightly worse than expected. Nothing where it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's like, okay, clearly that's how everyone else saw it too. Tomorrow, jobless claims. Tomorrow, PPI. Same distribution, PPI and core CPI, core PPI, and then year-over-year PPI and year-over-year core PPI. We're also going to get retail sales to see, hey, if we're growing, that'd be nice, right? We were at 0.7 last month, expecting 0.1. That's certainly, any kind of growth, but less than prior. That's helpful. We don't want it to just stop. We don't want sales to stop, but they have to slow down for prices to come down, obviously. And now we have increased pressure from oil continuing to be at new highs or at new highs here for the year. So that's what we have tomorrow. PPI sales. Friday drops off. We have manufacturing, production, utilization, some consumer sentiment. That's what we get tomorrow is what's going to carry us into the Fed. Remember, that's next week. They start Tuesday, not much in between. Home builder confidence, housing starts, building permits, a couple of real estate reports no one really cares about. So basically from Friday until Fed day, nothing. And then we get the Fed announcement. Stella sees a little bit more neutral, still overall bullish. So kind of like us, right? We're like, okay, overall still bullish, still looking for the bounce. Still opportunity out there that I'm going to consider, but certainly a little bit more reserved, right? And that might be what kind of approach you take with your risk management. A little bit more reserved right now as we wait to see. October is still a bit of a dicey month. We'll see that here in 1 second. The Q's more sideways, right? Still just kind of a little bit of a sideways churn. I'm a little bit more nervous about what the model's going to show for small caps. Here's the Dow. The Dow looks very similar to the S&P. Looking for the bounce, I would say neutral to slightly bullish. And here are small caps. That lag, we've seen it. It's concerning. It's gonna prevent our market analysis, our major market component of my market posture. That score is not going to be able to get any higher with small caps not participating. Technology seems to be holding up. Microsoft doing its job. Apple, maybe it's starting. We've got some prospects in AI. We've got in software. We've got some prospects in semiconductors, and Microsoft is doing okay. So there's some good things happening in the technology sector. Consumer discretionary holding up. Financials Industrial is a little less so. Same with communication services. So we have less breadth than we did, but we're still kind of just trying to figure it out. Are we going to get this or not? So that's what the model shows. Here is the seasonal. This is what we were talking about, right? Is that there is a tendency, and you can see even now we're following along. We hit the high, little pullback with a little uptick, little pullback with an uptick, then more of a pullback, then more of a pullback. That's spot on. We went up, had a little bit of a pause, went up, had a little bit of a pause, and then a little higher, and then a little higher. A little bit of a wobble here versus here. But overall, this is about where we stand now, right? Let me erase this. So where are we exactly right now? There. So what does this show us cyclically? That we might get like it's going to go somewhere, like it's starting to move, and then all of a sudden, whether it goes back here. This one says it goes lower, which would be like this, into October. So kind of a nasty last 2 weeks of September, but then stabilizing and catching a higher low early into right where we might pop up, catch something like this. Okay, so we're wondering, that's the question. Is that coming? What's going to help us to see that? The next couple of days. Right? Because even on the cyclical, it says a couple of days come in. We've said, yeah, we could see a couple of days come in. What am I looking for? The VIX. That's going to be my guide. That's the best I've got right now. If we see things start to like all of a sudden get a little nasty and there's just this one last realignment dip, whether it's previous lows, whether it's not quite previous lows, whether it's worse than previous lows. Right now, I would say at previous lows or better. So if I were to go back to the SPY empirically, I want to hear some people weighing in. Are you concerned? Are you less concerned? Okay. So now I'm going to erase those drawings. So there's our prior low. I'm gonna actually cut that off a little. I'm gonna go right through there. Right? So a little lower, but essentially there. So does this thing look like it's going to tick up and then come back all the way down? Does it even get a little further? The cyclical says it could even get a little further and then still have the ability to recover by early October, something like that. Couple more lower days ought to confirm the pullback. Yeah. I'm concerned because it looks like it's rolling over, at least short term. A little bit it does, doesn't it? Right? So this is our concern right here. And what do we do with it? And we'll go through the watch list and we'll see, because there are still potential setups out here. But certainly this is plausible. And this is what we're kind of thinking of ourselves. We could still have one more dip in the second half of September and recover and have a very bullish October, November, December. We see that in the cyclical, the seasonality, which has been uncannily accurate. So I'm certainly paying close attention to that. Okay. While we're here, let's get a quick quiz. We're a little bit behind, but yeah, I mean, come on, we're fine. Oh yeah, we're about to get going, and things just like dropped off pretty hard. Okay. C's, if you're a bear, it's got to be at or near the lows. We were down there earlier in the day. That's your C range. B's, you get this last little bit. A's, you think that the buyers are going to keep on pushing. ABC, the numbers are 445.85 and above. You're an A. 445.85 and above, you're an A. 445.35 and below, you're a B. 50-cent range. Bob, quick, He's a C. It's going to drop, he said. Martine is a B. Brad is a B. I am going to go with whatever Stella says. We have relationship goals and we're trying to align more. So this is an exercise we're trying. I just made it up, but it's like, why not try it? Here is what Stella thinks. That's cheating. It's not cheating. It's utilizing resources. Stella says that at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock Eastern, 446.68. Look back around 8-1. Okay. I think it's Mark. Mark, I'll go take a look. Someone else tell me. I'm an A. And if you want to join in the winning A team, now's your chance. The window's about to close. I don't think it's going to be 446. I think 446.40. It's going to be up here. Buyers are going to come back in. We're going to make a final tug of war poll. Come on, buyers. Do your thing. Last chance. Get your predictions in. Slide today. All right, windows closed. Windows closed. Okay, what else? A B, Carmen says. B in the middle. Sell off in the last 15. Oh, it's exciting. Very exciting. Okay, so what do we know? We know that the market is down a titch. So you would think, the VIX is probably going to be up a little bit, or right? But it's not. Still down quite a bit. Right? It's not flat with what it was yesterday. It's down almost 4%. It's down to these prior levels. Now, that doesn't mean we're out of the woods, but whatever is happening today does not seem to be generating a lot of institutional concern. That's the takeaway, right? Are the institutions getting more concerned? If so, then yeah, that's certainly we need to pay attention to that. This is telling me not yet, so it's not telling me, hey, you better get your heads ready. It's not telling me that. Therefore, with that in mind, until it does tell me that, my trading should be dependent upon individual signals. So, what are you in? Let's go take a look. Apple. I think Apple's barely trying to hang on. That was a lower high. It hit here, rolled over, selling off. I think if we break, honestly, it's not even this low. I'm going to take this low, which is part of here. If we break 170, 350. If we break 173.50 on Apple, that's $1.50 away, less than 1%. If we break that, now it is slowing down. Yesterday volume, today less, but still above average. If it accelerates and breaks 173.50, we are heading towards here, 162.5. That's a big one. Is today International Chocolate Day? I love chocolate, you guys. Love it. Chocolate is delicious. Okay. So Apple, yeah, maybe we would love this. I'm a spectator in Apple. First and foremost, I'm a spectator, but I'm rooting for Apple. I'm like, yeah, let's go Apple. Find some support. Let's see the buyers. If the buyers get more interested in Apple, certainly that bodes better for the market, without a doubt. Buying weakness. I mean, right now, a little bit. I wouldn't buy it now, but if someone's got to start the buying sometime. And so, if this holds and they can break it back above this high in here and give me a consolidation, like I said, go Apple. I'm rooting. AFL, that was one that we looked at, gave a signal. It's moved. If you're in it, you're probably thinking, it's starting to ease up. Not much left here. Okay, sell half. Tighten your stop. If you're satisfied with the profit and you have trades that look like this, sell it all. You're done. Wait and see what happens next. Or do you think there's ongoing bullish potential? Here's AIG. This one looks a little overextended to me. And then you look at something like AMAT. And again, we're going to see more of these, but I would also say NVIDIA made a new high. It's pulled back. Pullbacks occurred on declining volume. It's oversold. Finding support. Still at support, even today, up 0.5%. If tomorrow this thing turns and gives a bullish day, this is going to cross. That's going to be a signal. So you have to decide, am I going to trade Applied Materials? Let me jump just because they're so close. Or am I going to, this is a trade right now. It's a trade right now. It's pulled back. It's stabilized at or above, right on top of that 50-day moving average. Stochastics oversold, turning. Last time we got that signal was back here, right? Good one there, good one there. Those are. We also had one here. This one didn't do much, so it's not foolproof. But 3 out of 4 of these signals have worked. Now here's signal 5. I'm curious what Stella thinks. Stella, I don't want us to fight. I just want to start with that. I don't want us to fight. Oh, Stella. Stella disagrees on NVIDIA. She's like, no, NVIDIA's dropping. So there's conflict here. You know, you got to decide: is the price action enough? Yeah, I'll probably take a stab at it. I'll probably take a stab. Pulte Homes. This is more indicative of one that's failing, and the subtle difference is this. You probably would have seen this in some of your patterns, but we've had some triangles all of a sudden show up. PHM, MTG. Did I pass MTG? I think I skipped some things. How did I get? Okay, I skipped some things. Let me drop back. That was way out of order. You're out of order. This whole thing is out of order. I skipped to NVIDIA, and then she likes your Apple loser. Okay, AIG, no. Okay, here it is. Amazon. Amazon has looked good, and it's resuming. I mean, this thing gave a signal back here, right? I would say you're probably too late. If you're not already in Amazon, you're too late. But Amazon is definitely one that's looked strong and is ongoing and performing well, right? Absolutely. BLDR, no. And this is, for me, part of this is the fact I love BLDR, but it's all the way back to these old lows now. This could not hold on. And industrials as a group is a little bit like struggling right now. I don't want to lose that breath. Caterpillar, kind of that same wave of of weakness in the industrial sector. Not looking good there. This one still looks okay, but are you looking for okay in a struggling sector? You'll see why I'm saying struggling here in just a few minutes when we get to the bottom of this list. Bear with me on that. I like CVE as an energy play. I like CVE. I like MPC. I like XOP. Those are probably the 3 energy/oil trades I like the best, or energy/oil stocks I like the best. But we got to be patient, right? We can't just try to throw something at it. Right now, it looks like it's overextended and needs a consolidation. The Dow, still kind of in its hiccup. We're not convinced it's not a hiccup, but we're not convinced it is a hiccup. We're like, we need one more day to evaluate if this is a hiccup or not. It feels a little bureaucratic. I get you. I mean, granted, right? We're like, is it? Isn't it? We're not sure. We need another day to convene a committee. We need to convene a committee. The committee on, is this a market hiccup or not? Inconclusive today. The committee will have coffee and Danishes. Tomorrow morning we'll reconvene. You're welcome to attend. CCJ. CCJ, is that Chemico? CCJ, Kamiko. I mean, I think it's like strong for sure, like the others, but also a bit overextended. I feel late. I can't enter if I'm past like second. I mean, realistically, been hard pressed to not feel late. The day before, that's the day. I'm 2 days late. If I'm going to take this, I need to catch it when it turns. I need to catch it when the candle goes. That's got to be it. Back here, and that's tough. It's like kind of chopping around, but it did turn. I do like that one, Bob. I think that's a nice looking stock. That's a pretty stock you got there. Where was I? DraftKings. I got in and out pretty quickly. In over here, out over here early yesterday. Bing, bing. Made a little bit of money on it. Already ready for the next piece. Higher high. Where's this going to come down? As long as I would give it all the way to this level. I'd rather see it hold around, 29.75 to 30, if possible, of course. I'm looking for that again. I'm looking for flex. A little less so now, but it's still trying to hang on. It's trying. This thing kind of gave you a little bit of a signal here, and it's just like the hiccup. Is it a hiccup? I'm still willing to consider it a hiccup. I'm just saying. Gold. This is why I don't like it. I'm like, it could be setting it up, but I wouldn't trade it, and that's why. And then it's just like, no. You're like, why? There's no answer, just no. IBM setting up for us. Huh? We're all excited for this, I know. Mentally, I can sense everybody's like, I like IBM. Strong stock, good group, higher high. And I would say that 90% of us like it anywhere in that range. 90% of us. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. IBM setting up. That's the T. What else? There's the small caps. Oh, we were like, they're trying. Maybe they're going to hang on. Remember, we even drew our line as generously as we could. We took this low right there. Oh, that's as generous as we could make it. We said maybe it's going to hold. Today, volume is ticking up. I think it's going to go above average, honestly, on IWM. Maybe not on the others. Average is 23 million. We're at 19 million. We still have 20 minutes left. Maybe not. Maybe I think it will. We really can see the volume crank in at the end. And this line, I would say, is at 182.10. And today we got as low as 182.39. So we got within 30 cents of this. Doesn't look good for small caps. That's the bottom line. That's what I'm getting at. Make a long story short. Small caps, not really holding up. Losing interest. That certainly ebbs our excitement on this potential bullish fall. But okay. JP Morgan maybe he's trying to have a little bit of a breakout time. Maybe, I don't know. Meta. I mean, I feel like it's done enough, right? Where it's our concern was it was kind of there, but it's not. It's clearly up here now. So I'm going to give it credit for this, but I'm still, now it's kind of turned. I don't see that. I'm still going to wait for an actual, consolidation / turn signal. Be patient. I've been watching this one. I was going to trade the turn. I didn't end up taking the turn. And then I'm glad I didn't, because I don't think I would have stayed in on that engulfing. But you can see that it actually held support and it's moving still up. Anyone trade this? I was watching. I'm like, okay, this pattern's going to hold. It's just a bit volatile, right? I don't love that. Hard to love that. hard. Microsoft. Look at Microsoft. It's looking okay. Same thing. I was concerned that it was pausing, but it actually worked its way on up. It's a little bit pulling back, but even now it's up 1% as it's trying. I thought that the sellers were going to maybe try to come in. My zone was going to be anywhere through here. Try to catch it as it turns. I'm still looking for that. We'll see what happens. I'm rooting for it to be strong, even if I'm not trading it, because it adds credence to the bullishness of the market overall. Here's another example of a triangle pattern. When you start to see that, you're like, and I traded coming out of this, and it did okay, made some money, but overall, this is not super attractive to trade. Once it moved into that triangle, it's like no more interest. Now it's got to break out, and it actually looks like it's leaning towards the bottom. I've got to tell you, I was like, this doesn't look good. You might be like, oh, well, as long as it holds the 100, it's got a hard road ahead of it. I mean, this is if I draw this line, whenever we think about support and resistance, we do need to be somewhat flexible to horizontal versus diagonal, right? I've got a horizontal line here. I've got one here, and then I don't really have a diagonal line, right? If I connect these two aren't really in sync to connect. That's not what's happened. I wouldn't have thought that. I don't need that. For me, I would be more inclined to look at this consolidation and that we broke out of it right up in there. I don't care about that bottom line, right? And when we broke that, we then made this move on up here to a higher high. And now thinking we might be making a higher low. If it can stabilize in the next 2 days, it would be a maybe for me. Let me look at it. It's 5.3% on heavy volume. Average 4.6, we're at 10. We're at 200+% volume, and we're at or near the low for the day. Is there anything about that that's like, well, maybe it's going to stabilize and we can jump on in? Come on in for a party. No, I'm going to wait and see. I thought maybe communication services, but Meta can't seem to figure it out. Netflix can't seem to figure it out. We haven't looked at Google in a while. I guess we could just take a quick, what time is it? We've got time. We have time. Let's revisit an old friend. Alphabet Soup. Alphabet looks okay. The artist formerly known as Google. Who changed their name first, Google or Facebook? Was it just like we're going to change our name to Alphabet? And they're like, we're changing ours to Meta. It's way cooler. If companies could have a playground style fight over who has a cooler new name, that's what it would sound like. Google, I mean, it's stabilized at least. This thing can grind though. It's like it'll pop up a little bit, pop up, and then nothing, went down. Then it got just a couple of okay swings, nothing, swing, nothing. I don't love the way Google trades, to be perfectly honest. But as a representation of communication services, it is decently strong, probably stronger. Where were we? We were at Netflix. NVIDIA, like we said, viable. Pulte Homes, nothing there. PLTR, I liked it. I took it. It's just not going anywhere. I'm going to give it one more day. If it hasn't broken above these 2 days, with tomorrow being Friday, this trade for me would be, no, what day is today? I could give it till Friday. I'll give it maybe 2 days. If it breaks below these lows, no. by Friday, it's got to be above this level here, above 16.3. Otherwise, this thing doesn't continue on. It ceases to exist. QQQ. Okay, we've turned back positive. I told you I was feeling. Look, I was like, yeah, come on, buyers. Come on. When does a stock fill the gap? What does that mean? Nothing. I mean, it just means that. So you've got four kinds of gaps. You've got breakaway, runaway, exhaustion, and common. Common being like what you see the most of, and common having the least amount of implication. Yeah, I would. It's hard to sum that up in a quick amount of time. I would just say I wouldn't read too much into it. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Bam, 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 bam. I said 446.40, I believe. Does that sound right to anybody? I don't know. Of course, I'm gonna jinx it, but that'll be funny if I do. All right, let's get back to it. Yeah, so the bullish trades that I have, some have already had some profit taking. Some may still be on and just kind of seeing if it's going to catch or not. We'll see what happens. Like I said, the Qs I think looks okay. RCL is a stock in the consumer discretionary as another pattern. So the patterns that we've seen things triangle or triangulate. I don't know, go into triangles. We've seen things that have broken out, already made a move, and have started pulling back. Things that have broken out, pulled back, setting new highs, or setting higher lows, and we still have some of these. They're just continuing to move down. What do we do with that? Nothing. Wait for it to break out. That's a nothing for us. We don't do anything with that. Right? This one already gave a trade from here to here. And then it kind of was thinking about it again. And now it's just kind of wobbling around. I would actually say this one is a triangle now, and I'm not interested in this. I would rather see it do something else. Figure that out. Okay. Yeah, no more. Let me just check my sound here. Audio testing. I'm getting bars. Are you guys hearing me? Okay now? All right. Well, luckily I'm well skilled in the arts of audio-visual troubleshooting. I fixed it. Amazing. Tesla. I don't know. Anybody feeling that? If you caught it on the first pullback, bouncing off the 50, maybe now it's just kind of sitting. Upstart. Can Upstart hang on? This thing has just been in this tight little basing range. I'm very curious if and when it breaks out, which way it goes. The VIX staying pretty strong today, right? I'm relying on that. I hope it's not giving me a false confidence. That feels pretty good. I said I'm still open to the possibility of the VIX stabilizing even into another Harami day, an inside day tomorrow, back the other way. okay, I'm gonna be vigilant in what I watch and what I'm watching for. Wayfair is one that I've liked, but it's going through the hiccup. Wells Fargo, that I like to see. Why? Because that's a nice, strong regional bank. It clearly broke its consolidation to the upside. I'm okay that it didn't really like penetrate all of the moving averages. At this point, if this thing comes back and gives me a higher low, so somewhere I would say kind of through this range, if it pulls back in there and turns, great. That's the signal, right? That's what I'm looking for. You can see the same kind of a thing happen back here. Up, down, up. Trade, 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 trade. 4 trades in a 3-month window. Oh, what 3 months? We have a 3-month window coming up where we would like to be bullish. We've said this. Would this be a nice one that if it could complete this signal would give us, yeah, hell yes. Let's find some of these. Energy, overbought, but still pretty strong. Financials made the turn. It's slowing down a little now, but it's actually gotten a higher high. That looks fairly strong. I still like financials. Industrials, oh, this is what I mean. It was up here like it was breaking out, just like financials did. And then it pulled back, and then it pulled back, and then it pulled back, and then it pulled back. And now all of a sudden, we're all the way down here at a lower low. So that makes me so much more reluctant to be getting more bullish on industrial opportunities, right? So that's why I didn't take BLDR, and that BLDR fell apart. That's why I'm reluctant on Caterpillar, CPRT. I just don't think I'm going to do something in the industrial with the way this is looking right now. Are we getting defensive? Doesn't feel like it here in Staples. Staples still pretty down. Utilities a little bit more concerning. We seem to have had a little bit of a surge in utilities. So we're going to mark that mentally and be looking for it this weekend and what we think the implications of that are. And lastly, XOP, oil stock, very similar to MPC, very similar to CVE. It's strong. It's overbought. We need it to pull back if we're going to think about anything in there. That's the watch list. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things that look like if we can process tomorrow's news, today wasn't enough. Today wasn't enough. The VIX held on. I feel good about that, but the price really didn't do much. So what are we doing? We're waiting for tomorrow. Tomorrow we get PPI. Is that enough? If the market likes it and it encourages enough buying, VIX drops a little bit more. We have some new signals that have started today. A lot of new signals now, a couple more signals. And like I said, a couple of things you could have already been in and out of bullishly, or you might be in and just looking to manage the trade. Amazon looks a lot like that. Aflac, something like that, right? Yeah, I mean that's what feels right to me. Posture is a little better. Underlying conditions of the market look pretty good, but we know that there's some weirdness around the second half of September from a cyclical standpoint. We see that there is a potential higher low signal that's just kind of lurking outside the gates, like shady character out there. Okay, great. We're ready. Be ready to address it. Questions, thoughts, concerns. What am I missing? Challenge me on something. What am I missing? Is there a report? Is there information coming out that I'm not taking into account? Is there anything in the news that we should. Good call on the close. Figure trade. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there could be some caution still, right? What are we looking at? Let's go watch this thing close down. We've got 3.5 minutes. Let's actually go back, start at the VIX. I'm going to go into the intraday on the VIX. And you can see early on, the VIX was kind of like up, and you're like, oh, that's not good. All the way down to 13.4. We popped up, but we're really bleeding it off again. That's 1 minute. I should have gone to okay, that's a little better. Yeah, I mean, we're not at the lows, but we're pretty good, right? This is showing us that not a lot of concern. We're completely below yesterday's entire range. So I like the way that the institutions are showing up here. And here's the SPY. Ooh, I think Stella's going to be closer even than I was. Did I leave it up? Let me see if I did. I didn't. I mean, to be fair, I did just jump on Stella. She picked it. Kudos. What does it mean, though? It means that the buyers are trying to give this thing a little bit of a push, just like they did here, kind of a V bottom off this low. So clearly this is holding up this level here, right? Around 445.40. We tested it back here, smashed back up, tested it, boom. Tested it, boom. I mean, it whips off of that pretty fast. 445.40-ish. It does look like we're going to, I thought maybe 445.45. Stella thought up here around 65.70. Wow, she nailed it. Well done. Okay, so tomorrow, right? Again, I wouldn't expect like a huge gap. I would expect whatever happens to happen like it did today. We get the news, it opens, and it starts to have its effect. So if the effect is selling, certainly you should have time to make adjustments to any bullish trade you're in, to consider at what point would you be convinced and put on a bearish trade if you get a hedge signal like I'm potentially going to get. Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. There we are. Well, okay. Congratulations to me and Stella on our shared couples gold medal, couple goals. I told you. This feels like a victory for us. 30 seconds left. I'm calling it. So the A's are going to win. Everybody else, try harder. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Remember that the bulk of the news tomorrow will be out prior to the market. So this is on the 14th. Everything but these, so basically everything's coming out 8:30 a.m. We'll see how the market responds, what the numbers are. I think the market's going to be okay, but we'll see what happens. There's the closing bell. Thank you. It's good to see you. It always feels like a long gap in between our Friday morning and our Wednesday afternoon. And then it's a nice short little day and a half. I'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Enjoy your Thursday. See you Friday morning. Happy trading.